Alright, let's go over solving this equation. We have a 6x minus 2 times x minus 9 plus 2 times x minus 5 plus 9. What is the best first step? Well, for me, the best first step would be to distribute the negative 2 and distribute the 2. Use distributive property to remove each set of parentheses. So by doing that, we would simplify the parentheses. So let's take part D. Let's check. Okay, works good. Use the distributive property to multiply the terms in the first parentheses by negative 2. Alright, so now we have 6x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And then negative 2 times negative 9 would be, so they want us to multiply by negative 2. Okay, so negative 2x and then plus 18. Alright, let's check. Okay, now they want us to multiply this one, and so this would be 2x, and 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So let's check. Okay, what is the next step? Add negative 18 to each side, combine like terms on each side of the equation. I would like to combine like terms on each side of the equation. That way I would simplify this equation. Rather than having 6 terms, I would end up with 4 terms. And let's do that. Combine like terms on each side of the equation. Check. Okay, now let's combine like terms. What is 6x minus 2x? And that's 4x. They already have the x. Okay, now what is negative 10 plus 9? That's a negative 1, because we have more negative than positive. We subtract, 10 minus 9 is 1, and we add a negative sign because 10 is more negative. Let's check. Alright, so far. Now, what is the best choice for the next step? Well, for me, I would say the best step would be to separate variables, like move the 2x on this side, move the 18 on this side. That way we have the variables on one side and the constant on the other side. Let's see what the options are. Add 2x to each side of the equation. Well, if you add 2x to each side, this becomes 6x, this becomes 4x, so it's not going to help. Add negative 2x to each side of the equation. That's a great idea, because by doing that, if I add negative 2x to both sides, this will cancel, and this becomes 2x plus 18 equals negative 1. So I like this idea. Adding 18 is not going to help, because 18 plus 18 is 36, and that's not going to cancel. Also, adding 4x is not going to help, because 4x plus 4x equals 8x. So the best option is to add the opposite of 2x, which is negative 2x. Let's check. Okay. So adding negative 2x to each side of the equation. What is 4x minus 2x? And that's plus 2x. We don't have to put plus, because if you don't put a sign, we know it's plus. 2x plus 18 equals 2x minus 2x cancel, minus 1. And then check. Alright. Now what is the next step? Okay, the next step, I want 2x by itself. Since my target is to isolate x, I would like to move 18 to the right. The best way to move 18 to the right is by adding negative 18 to both sides. So here we go. Add 18 to each side. It's not going to help, because if you add 18, you're going to get 36. It's not going to cancel. Add negative 2x. No, it's not going to help, because now we're moving 2x to the right side. We worked hard to move the x to the left side. Add negative 1 to each side. Negative 1 is not going to help, because this becomes negative 2, this becomes 17. So nothing will happen. But if you add negative 18 to each side, that's the best deal, because now the 18 minus 18 will cancel, and then 2x will be by itself. Check. Alright, so now let's add negative 18 to both sides. So these two will cancel, we'll end with 2x. And negative 18 plus negative 1 is negative 19. Check. Okay. What is the next step? The next step now, since we want x by itself, the best way to isolate x is to divide both sides by 2. That would be the best way. Divide each side of the equation by the reciprocal of 2. Now, if you divide by the reciprocal of 2, which is 1/2, 2 divided by 1/2 equals 4. That's not going to work. We either multiply by the reciprocal of 2, 1/2 times 2 equals 1, or divide by 2. But dividing by the reciprocal of 2, the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2, and 2 divided by 1/2 is 4. That's not going to help. I want to get 1x. The only way I can get 1x is either to multiply by the reciprocal of 2, which is 1/2. 1/2 times 2 is 1, or divide by 2. 2 over 2 is 1. Add negative 2x. That's not going to help because we will cancel here the 2x, but then we'll have negative 2x here again. Divide each side of the equation by 2. Perfect job. That's what we want. Multiply both sides of the equation by 2. It makes it 4x equals negative 38. That's not going to help. So the only way that will help us here is to divide both sides by 2. Let's check. Very good. So dividing by 2, this becomes x. Now simplify your answer, type an integer or a simplified fraction. So 19 is a prime number divided by 2. We cannot reduce this fraction because 19 is only divisible by 19 and 1. 2 is only divisible by 2 and 1. So we cannot simplify this fraction. So that's the final answer. Let's write it as negative 19 over 2. That should be the final answer. Again, 19 over 2. They want a simplified fraction. They didn't say mixed number, so don't change this to a mixed number. They want a simplified fraction or an integer. This is not, if you divide 19 by 2, you're going to get 9.5. That's not an integer. That's a decimal number. So the best way is to leave it this way. This is a simplified fraction. That's all. Check. Okay. Now check the solution by substituting negative 19 over 2 for x back in the original equation. Now we go back to the original equation and we want to substitute negative 19 over 2 to make sure that the solution is correct, that this solution is correct. So to do that, instead of x here, I'm going to put negative 19 over 2. And here also I'm going to put negative 19 over 2. Same here, I'm going to replace x by negative 19 over 2. And now we're going to prove that the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. So that's all what we have to do at this step. Just substitute x equals negative 19 over 2 over here, and over here. Let's check. Alright. Now notice that the first thing we need to do here is multiply. And so we need to multiply. And therefore, if you multiply 6 times this fraction, we can divide first. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then we need to multiply 3 times 19. Let's multiply 3 times 19. And 3 times 9, 27. 3 times 1, 3, and 2, 5. So this whole thing becomes negative 57. And therefore, we want to simplify the whole thing. So I would rather take a little break here and try to show you how to simplify this on this side here, because this is a big expression. I can't just do it at one time. So let me try to simplify here. We have 6 times negative 19 over 2, and then minus 2, open parentheses, then open parentheses again, negative 19 over 2, and then close parentheses, and then negative 9, close parentheses. So let's work on the left side, then we can work on the right side. So as I said here, if you multiply, this is 6 over 1. Notice that every time you multiply fractions, you can simplify first. So 6 by 2 is 3, and 2 by 2 is 1. So we end up multiplying 3 times 19, and 3 times 9 is 27, 3 times 1, 3, and 2, 5. And this is a negative times positive, that's a negative. Now here, before I distribute the negative 2, I'd like to simplify inside the parentheses. So let's do that. Negative 2. We have negative 19 over 2. Now negative 9 with the denominator 2. Multiply up and down by 2. You will get 18 over 2, right? Because 18 over 2 is 9. And that's a minus sign coming from here. So let's go to the next step. This is negative 57 minus 2. Now, notice that we have a same denominator. Now we can add the numerator because these are like signs. So 19 plus 18 is 37. So we have now negative 37 over 2. So all I did, these are two fractions. They have the same sign, same denominator. All we have to do, add the numerator, keep the same denominator. 9 plus 8, 17, carry 1. 1 plus 1, 2, and 1, 3. So negative 37 over 2. Again, like signs, we add and save the sign. So we're almost there now. Here we go. Negative 57. Now we're multiplying negative 2 times this fraction. Remember, negative times negative is positive. 2 and 2 will cancel. This is 2 over 1. So these 2 will cancel. So we end up with plus 37. And what is negative 57 plus 37? So that's a negative 20. Because these are opposite sign, you would subtract 57 minus 37 is 20. I chose negative 20 because this is more negative. So my whole left hand side is going to be negative 20. Let's try. Check. Good. So we did it right. Now we have to do the right side. Again, I'm going to use my Microsoft Paint to do the next step. So let's try a new page here. And let's try to simplify now the right side. And to do that, I'm going to do the same thing. 2 times, open 2 parentheses, we have negative 19 over 2 minus 5 plus 9. And so we can just again do the inside of the parentheses too before we start multiplying. And you can multiply if you want to. It works better maybe to multiply. Let's go ahead and multiply this time. 2 times this number, the 2 will cancel, so we end up with negative 19. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, right? So let's do it one more time. We're trying to distribute here, so we multiply 2 by both terms inside the parentheses. Multiplying 2 over 1 by negative 19 over 2. Before we multiply straight across, we can cancel. 2 over 2 is 1, so that's going to be negative 19. Then multiply 2 times negative 5, you get negative 10, and then add 9. Now what is negative 19 minus 10? Negative 19 minus 10 is negative 29 plus 9, and that's negative 20. So we get back to the same answer like before, negative 20. Check. The answer check, therefore the solution is x equals negative 19 over 2. And that's the end of the story. So all we did here, again, we started by distributing the negative 2 and the 2 here. So that was the first step. Then we combine like terms, 6x minus 2x and negative 10 plus 9. These are called like terms, therefore we can combine them. These are called like terms, therefore we can combine them. Then all what we did here is combine 6x minus 2x, that was 4x. And then negative 10 plus 9, that's a negative 1. The next step would be to separate variables. Move the 2x to the left, move the 18 to the right. In this here, they started by moving the 2x to the left, subtract 2x from both sides. That's what they did. They subtracted 2x from both sides. This side becomes 4x minus 2x, just 2x plus 18. And this one, they cancel, so that's a negative 1. Now 2x plus 18 equals negative 1. Let's move the 18 to the right side. That way we have 2x by itself, isolated. So subtract 18 from both sides, and that's what they did here. And then 18 minus 18 will cancel. Negative 1, negative 18 is negative 19. And therefore, the last step here is to divide both sides by 2. Again, this is called the multiplication principle. You can divide or multiply both sides by the same number. The other methods here, when we were adding, it was called the addition principle. So we're using two principles here to isolate x. So going back here, we divide both sides by 2, and that's how we got the final answer. The check would be to take that answer and substitute back in the original equation here, and making sure the left-hand side equal the right-hand side. That's what we got. We got negative 20 equals negative 20. So therefore, negative 19 over 2 is the final answer.